Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis. Just the thought of that matchup sounds insane. One man is a YouTuber turned boxer who's built a career out of shocking people who doubt him. The other is a world-class knockout artist who's been breaking faces since his teenage years. On paper, this fight shouldn't even exist. But in 2025, it's not just real, it's the most talked about spectacle in boxing. And the drama behind it runs deeper than anyone expected. It all started when Jake Paul called out Tank Davis on social media, claiming he could knock him out despite the massive weight difference. Most people laughed. Tank fights at lightweight, that's around 135 pounds, while Jake has been walking around close to 200. That's not a small gap. That's like a middle schooler challenging a college linebacker. Yet somehow, the call-out gained traction, because when Jake Paul says something crazy, people listen. They argue, they share, they tune in. And that's how chaos turns into pay-per-view gold. Behind the scenes, there was skepticism from the boxing world. Promoters didn't take it seriously. Commentators called it a joke. But Tank Davis, known for his pride and that signature scowl, didn't back down. He's always been one to silence critics with his fists. To him, Jake Paul was just another mouth writing checks it couldn't cash. So he accepted the challenge, under one condition. The fight would be labeled an exhibition due to the extreme size difference. That detail alone sparked outrage across boxing circles. An exhibition? Between two men who clearly wanted to destroy each other? Fans started calling it a circus act, a money grab, another nail in boxing's credibility. But there's more going on here than people realize. For Tank, this isn't about weight classes or belts. It's about pride and legacy. He's one of the most feared punchers in modern boxing. 30 wins, almost all by knockout. When he lands clean, it's lights out. Period. He's dismantled everyone from Ryan Garcia to Rolando Romero. He's been compared to a young Mike Tyson, explosive, fearless, and unpredictable. So when Jake Paul stepped up, Tank didn't see it as a clown show. He saw it as a chance to shut down a loudmouth on the biggest stage possible. Jake, on the other hand, sees this as his golden ticket. Ever since he laced up gloves, people said he wasn't a real boxer, that he picked old UFC fighters, washed up names, or opponents with no power. But Jake has been smart. He's improved with every fight. His jab has gotten sharper, his movement tighter, and his confidence unshakable. And more importantly, he's become a master of attention. Every time he's doubted, he turns it into a headline. This fight with Tank isn't just another payday. It's his statement, a chance to prove he can hang with someone who's truly elite. Still, the physical difference can't be ignored. Jake stands around 6'1" and usually weighs near 200 pounds. Tank, barely 5'5", fights 30 to 60 pounds lighter. No matter how skilled you are, that kind of gap changes everything. Jake can take more punishment, throw heavier shots, and lean on his opponent to drain energy. Tank has the advantage in speed, technique, and timing, but he's stepping into dangerous territory. If Jake catches him clean with one of those overhand rights, things could get ugly fast. Coaches and analysts are split. Some say Tank's speed and precision will make Jake look amateurish. Others argue that power is the ultimate equalizer, and Jake has more than enough to cause problems. Even Stephen A. Smith, known for his fiery takes, said he loves the idea but hates the mismatch. He pointed out that if Tank loses to a guy like Jake Paul, it could haunt him forever. But if he wins, critics will say it didn't count because of the weight difference. Either way, it's a high-risk, low-reward situation for a fighter who's already proven himself countless times. As for Jake, the opposite is true. If he wins, it's the upset of the decade, something that would permanently change how people see him. If he loses, well, he lost to a world champion. No harm done. That's what makes this fight so fascinating. The stakes aren't even, but the narrative is explosive. Training camps have only fueled the hype. Videos of Jake sparring show him working on body shots, angles, and pacing, things he struggled with early in his career. His camp claims he's stronger than ever and that Tank's power won't matter because Jake's size will absorb it. Meanwhile, Tank's team has been ruthless in their preparation. Word is they've brought in bigger sparring partners, people who mimic Jake's reach and frame, to help Tank adjust. They're betting on his ability to slip punches, counter fast, and tear the body apart before Jake can settle in. But the controversies didn't stop at the matchup. Boxing commissions hesitated to sanction the bout. Some called it unsafe, others refused to approve it entirely. Eventually, promoters reclassified it as a special exhibition, meaning the rules are tweaked. Shorter rounds, bigger gloves, and an agreement that neither fighter can exceed a certain weight on fight night. But if you think that will make them go easy on each other, think again. Both men have made it clear this isn't a friendly exhibition, it's war. As the fight date approaches, the tension keeps rising. Every press conference feels like a battle. Jake taunts Tank, calling him Mini Mike, mocking his height, and claiming he'll flatten him in front of the world. Tank fires back with icy calm, promising to end Jake's boxing dream once and for all. The energy between them is explosive. You can feel it in every stare down, every interview. This isn't just hype, it's personal. But behind all the trash talk and promotion, there's a real question about what this fight means for boxing. Purists say it's a sideshow, a publicity stunt that cheapens the sport. Yet others argue the opposite. They say this is exactly what boxing needs: big personalities, storylines, entertainment. Because let's be honest, boxing has struggled to keep mainstream interest. The UFC stole much of the spotlight. Casual fans don't follow belts or rankings anymore. They follow drama, and Jake Paul has mastered the art of turning drama into dollars. For Tank, though, the motivation runs deeper. He's been criticized for fighting safe opponents and avoiding certain names. A win here, even in an exhibition, could silence those critics by showing he's willing to fight anyone, anytime, regardless of weight or style. And if he manages to knock out a man 60 pounds heavier, it could become one of the most replayed moments in sports history. The fight itself will come down to two things: control and composure. If Jake keeps his distance, uses his jab, and relies on his size, he could make Tank chase him and tire him out. But if Tank can close the gap and land his signature left uppercut, Jake might not see the next round. It's that simple. One mistake, one misstep, and it's over. And the truth is, both men know it. That's why the psychological warfare has already started. Jake thrives on getting inside his opponents' heads, but Tank isn't the type to crack. He's fought under pressure his whole life. Growing up in Baltimore, surrounded by violence and hardship, he's used to people trying to break him. Boxing became his escape, his identity, his way out. Jake, meanwhile, grew up in wealth and internet fame. He's used to attention, to being the loudest voice in the room. But fame doesn't protect you from pain, and that's the reality of stepping in the ring with someone like Tank Davis. The contrast between them makes this fight irresistible. It's more than boxer versus influencer. It's discipline versus disruption. Tradition versus evolution. Old school boxing versus modern spectacle. And that's why fans can't stop talking about it. It's not just a fight, it's a collision of eras. As for the outcome, opinions are all over the place. Some insiders predict Tank will end it in the middle rounds once he adjusts to Jake's reach. Others think Jake will survive, using his size and stamina to push it to the final bell, maybe even score a controversial decision. Either way, the world will be watching. The pay-per-view numbers are already projected to break records. Sponsors, streaming services, even mainstream celebrities, everyone wants in. Because when Jake Paul fights, it's not just a boxing match, it's an event. Still, beneath all the hype, there's one unshakable truth. Someone's reputation is about to get shattered. If Jake loses badly, the YouTube boxer dream takes a major hit. The narrative of him being the future of crossover boxing could fade overnight. But if Tank loses, even in an exhibition, it'll raise brutal questions about how a world champion got caught by a social media star. It's a no-win situation wrapped in gold gloves. The final weeks before the fight are filled with mind games. Jake posts training clips showing knockout power, heavy bags shaking, slow-motion sweat flying off his gloves. Tank responds with silence, just clips of his focus, shadowboxing in the gym, calm and deadly. The contrast is clear. One fights loud, the other fights lethal. When the two finally meet under the lights, the world will hold its breath. The crowd will split in half, influencers and mainstream fans cheering for Jake, boxing purists and veterans backing Tank. Cameras will flash, social media will explode, and no matter the outcome, the internet will erupt. But beyond the noise, there's something poetic about this fight. It's a reflection of where boxing stands today, torn between legacy and entertainment, purity and profit. Some say it's the end of an era. Others say it's the start of a new one. Maybe both are right. Because at the end of the day, when the bell rings and the gloves touch, none of the noise matters. It's just two men, alone in the ring, one looking to prove he belongs, the other determined to remind the world why he's feared. The cameras fade, the crowd disappears, and what's left is pure instinct. When the final punch lands, one story will end and another will begin. Whether it's Tank walking away with his dominance intact or Jake shocking the world once again, this fight will change boxing, maybe forever. because love him or hate him, Jake Paul has forced everyone to pay attention. And Tank Davis, the destroyer of lightweights, is stepping up to show that skill and power still rule the sport. In the end, it doesn't matter who you're rooting for. This is bigger than either man. It's about what happens when the worlds of sport and spectacle collide head-on. It's about pride, legacy, and the unshakable truth that in boxing, one punch can rewrite everything. So when they step into that ring under the flashing lights, remember this moment. Because no matter who wins, the world will be watching, and boxing will never be the same again.